Hi, folks. It's Keith, Victor Echo 3 Sierra Victor Quebec, and sometimes VA3KEI. So I'm going to entitle this one New Hams Learn How to Be a Hunter in Pota. So it's a simple overview as to what's involved when you're a hunter in Pota. Explain a little bit of what you do, where you find things, and try and simplify it for you as well. So I guess really when you look at it, most people find it because they hear people calling CQ POTA CQ POTA when they're scrolling along the bands, and they sort of get interested and they tune in, and they may even call that particular number themselves. And in some cases it's going to be a person at a park in Canada, could be in many cases someone in the United States, and sometimes in another country as well. So it's quite interesting when you get into it. So let's just look at what this is. Well, POTA, POTA, simply stands for Parks on the Air. Nothing more than that. It's a program that's been around for a few years, exceptionally popular, and probably one of the fastest growing programs in ham radio, if not the fastest. It's sort of one of those that everybody gets interested in. It doesn't matter if you're someone young and sort of a techie. You've got an old tube radio. You can still do all of this. It doesn't matter if you like low power QRP, or if you don't want to run something with an amplifier. You can still do POTA. So it applies to a lot of different people. And I think you'll find it's also one of those things that the more you do, the more you want to do. And there's just so many parks. It's a free program. There's no cost for you to join. So I'm going to look at the hunter side today, because what POTA does, it divides everybody into two categories. You're either an activator, in other words, someone who goes to a park and sets up the radio and broadcasts from there, or you're going to be a hunter, someone who chases parks and tries to get awards for talking to as many parks as possible. So when you do this, if you're a hunter, which is what I suggest most people start with for the first time, and I suggest that because, first of all, it's free. If you already have your radio equipment, you don't need to invest. There's no point. You don't have to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars to get particular radios or anything like that. You just use what you already have. So when you're starting off, keep it simple. Let's see if you like the program. You may decide it's not for you, so why would you want to invest all that money? My bet is, though, you'll probably like it. So let's assume now you're a hunter. What does that mean? So what are the steps? Well, the first step, you join POTA. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. And that will give you access to the website and to all the awards and everything else that you could possibly win. So you go through that, and I'll show you the site in a minute. Go over all their material. They've got rules, regulations. They have links to various videos where they describe everything in great detail, much, much more detail than what I'm going to do here. And when you get through that, then maybe you're ready to go. With Parks on the Air, it's very informal, it's very friendly, and we all try to keep it that way. When you're talking to a park, you try and keep it polite and professional. Don't be one of those people that talks on top of the operator or cuts the operator off. Just use some common sense and basically act like a good ham should act. Now, what makes Parks on the Air very simple is that once you locate them and you're ready to call, the exchange you use is really easy. The park will be calling CQ POTA, CQ POTA, CQ Parks on the Air. They may give the park number, they may not. When you see an opportunity to get in, that's when you give your call sign. Number one, always give your full call sign. Don't play around with, like in mine, going Victor Quebec or Sierra Victor Quebec. Give the full thing, Victor Echo 3 Sierra Victor Quebec. It makes it a lot easier for the operator on the other end to copy it down. And that's how you get credit, if he gets your call sign correct. Let's assume you hear the operator say, I don't know, Victor Echo 3 Sierra Victor Quebec QRZ. Now, I always have trouble saying QRZ. Being Canadian, we would normally say QRZ, but the standard that you're going to hear is going to be QRZ. That's the point when you can start calling them. And you'll see, we'll try one after and see what happens. But that's when you can step in. Don't call on top, like I said. Now, a lot of the time, you're going to be the only one calling, or maybe there's just one or two other people, and they're going to hear you right away, and there's absolutely no problem. So they'll come back to you, they'll give you your call sign normally, and then at that point, they're going to give the park that they're in. And in some cases, if they have a lot of people calling, they'll give the park every 3 or 4 calls. So you can always get it. So you find someone, you listen to them, listen to their pattern, listen to what they're saying, get their call sign, get their park number. And when you do finally contact them, they're going to come back and they'll give you your call sign, and they're going to say whatever your signal strength is. This is June 59, and we're in Victor Echo 5295, which was a park I was in a few days ago. And what you have to return is very simple. Give the signal report. Let's assume it's 59, and you tell them where you are, 59 Ontario. That's it. Very, very simple. No numbers to add up, nothing complicated. Pretty straightforward. In some cases, if you're tracking down a park, for instance, in Poland, which is one I spoke to last week, for them, normally I will say, Canada, Ottawa, Canada, so they know that's where I am, and they will give you where they are, the park number that they're in. So it's the same standard right around the world. So it's a lot of fun. It's also very simple. Now, things to keep in mind. Sometimes there's what we call a pileup, and if you're a new ham radio operator, you may not have experienced one. And those of us who've been around for a while are used to them from various contests and when there's a de-expedition and so on. But assuming it's a park where a lot of people want to talk to, especially some states. I get somebody calling from North Dakota, boy, there'll be a lot of people after them, or Alaska or something like that. So sometimes there's a pileup. What you hear as the hunter is maybe 5 or 6 other stations quite clearly calling them. What you don't know is there's probably another 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever that you can't hear. So all that person on the other end hears is a wall of noise, just an absolute wall of noise. It's something that you have to experience to appreciate. They're listening for anything that they can pull out of that wall of noise. So it may be all they're going to hear is going to be Sierra Victor Quebec. And they'll come back and they will say, who is Sierra Victor Quebec? And I'll give my full call sign then. Again, Victor Echo 3, Sierra Victor Quebec. They may come back and say, I hear a Victor Echo or a Victor Echo 3. And that's your opportunity to give your call sign again to them. So when there's a pileup, you just have to be very, very patient and know that there's a lot of other people just like you trying to get through. So in that case, you listen to the operator. Is the operator snagging the very first call that they hear? So in other words, they'll say QRZ, everyone will jump in and he'll pull a call out of that. Or are they listening for a few seconds, and then when it sounds like all the calls are dying down, that very last call that you hear is the call that they get. So you just pattern yourself accordingly. If it's that last call, you sort of wait patiently, and as everyone calls, and then you try and time it so you can get in and maybe they'll get your call. So that's sort of one of the simple ways of doing it. Just remember, they're hearing a lot of different calls. It's not just you. And again, be polite. Don't be one of those people who, while he's still signing off with another call, are trying to call on top of them to get attention. It's just not worth it. It's not polite. And it just annoys everybody, including the operator, because I've had those people do that to me when I'm in a park and I just let them sit there. So, a little bit of common courtesy goes a long way. Now, how do you get credit for talking to a park? Well, it's pretty simple. You as a hunter really don't need to do anything. It's all done by the activator. Now you can check and see how many parks you have. And again, I'll show you that shortly on the park website. But the activator who's out in that park is making a list of every single person he spoke to. What was the signal strength? Where were they? Because they need that for their log. And keep in mind, again, some of these people are doing it by hand. For instance, when I do all of that, I write everything down by hand. I like that way. Some are using, laptops if they brought one. Some are using iPads because there's some programs for them. So that we'll get into in another video. But the activator will upload everything, usually within, I'm going to say 3 days, 2 days. Most of the people that you speak to in parks will have uploaded to the Parks on the Air website, and you can go in and check and see, and you can keep track of how many awards you've won or how close you are to an award. So let's go to the Pota site, and we'll show you a little bit of an idea about what I'm talking about. Now, when you look at what we've got going here, now we're inside the Pota site, and remember we said you have to join, you can get in and see what's going on. So right now we're on this band here, so the 15-meter band. We see we have 2 stations on there. One is located in Georgia, the other in Montana. And the first one is at Park K2207, the other at K2602. So what does this tell you? Well, one, you've got the call sign of the person, you have the park they're at, and you can double check too. There's a way you can double check to see if you've spoken to that park before. It's got the name of the park, the state, and there's the frequency, 21385. So if you've got your radio turned on, all you have to do is turn to 21385. You're going to hear the person there. If you don't hear them, then don't waste your time. Keep moving on. If they're very, very faint, or if it's a gigantic pileup, you may want to just keep looking for something else. So let's look at another one here, because this is where you find it. This is where you will find your modes. You get to check which one you want to do. So in this case, I'm doing single sideband. If I was doing FT8, I could check that, or CW, I could check that. We're going to do single sideband. This little box over here will show you the bands that we've got people in. So this one, it's probably seven people in there. Now that's 7 in total. There might only be 1 or 2 who are operating single sideband. So let's go over to the 40 meter. There we are there. There's a Canadian station. He's on quite a lot. I speak to him fairly often. He's also an Ontario station. We have another one, which is South Carolina. Another one, Connecticut. There's another Canadian on over here. So there's a bunch of different ones on. Again, it's always the same system. There's where you're looking. It's not hard to do. And if I go to a different one, let's try, let's go up to see if there's anybody on 10. So there's your 10-meter band. It's all Americans by the looks of it today. Yeah, so we have Americans on that band. And let's go 20 meters. So again, lots of Americans. Florida, North Carolina, Florida, Ohio. There's a Puerto Rican station. And it's looking through. Yeah, there's another Canadian on there. So we just got the one foreign one coming in so far. But that's really all you have to do. You simply look them up and see what's there. Now once you talk to them and you're trying to confirm it and you want to know if it's being confirmed, once they post it, the activator will go and post everything to the website. If you look under your name here and you go down to where it says My Hunter Log, there's your hunter log. There's everybody you've spoken to. And these are all the ones that have been confirmed. So it's very, very easy to do. And you don't have to worry about doing any of that. If you want to see, for instance, the awards that you can win, well, here's a whole bunch of them. These are just some of the ones I have. So they're all different. They all increase. In other words, you can get one for talking to your first 10 parks, then maybe 20 parks, and so on until you hit 50. Each 10 would give you an award. Then after that, it's going to jump up. The next award might be 100, then 200, 300, whatever the number of parks are. These awards are all free. They're all calculated for you. You don't even have to apply. The program itself will send them to you. It's 8.5 by 11 inch size, so all you've got to do is download it and print it. Very, very simple, very effective. So that's really very quick. Now what you can also do, and I'll come back here where it says spots. So if you go into here, there's your spots. There they are, the ones we were just looking at. They've all come back up. And you'll see down here it says respot, and all of them have a respot. So if you've spoken to someone, common courtesy, you try and promote them a little bit. So if you click respot, there it is. You would just add your own comments, but it puts it back out there so that people who are looking like you are to find other ones will see this last heard 31 seconds ago. So these are all things that help the activator, and of course, like I say, a little bit of common courtesy goes a long way. So let's see now if we can actually find someone on the air, and we'll go from there. Now, if you listen to this one, this is an interesting one because there are actually two people who are at that park working together. So you'll hear one operator come on, and then a second operator will come on. Victor Echo 3 Sierra Victor Quebec.
Victor Echo 3 Sierra Victor Quebec, 5 and 9 feet.
Hey, thank you very much. You're also 5'9", Ottawa, Ontario.
Roger, thanks, Ontario. Stand by for that. Victor Echo 3 Sierra Victor Quebec. And Clark K1027. You're 5'9" here.
Roger, Roger. Also 5'9" here in Ottawa.
There's for Ottawa, 73.
73. Good luck.
Victor.
All right, so you just heard him call QRZ. That's what you're waiting for.
My call, November Charlie 4 X-ray Lima, and I'm QRZ in your call. So what's your call sign, sir? Pota, Fox on the air, November Charlie 4 X-ray Lima, Kilo 69
All right, so that was the call sign he just gave out. He said where he is, and he's called QRZ. You can hear people starting to answer.
Roger, the 5-9 pipeline to Florida. Thanks again. Appreciate it, QRZ. X-ray only.
So there's several stations calling him.
Alabama's in the log with the Alpha 4 Oscar. 73 QRZ.
Victor Echo 3 Sierra Victor Quebec. Hey, Roger, Roger, 5'9", Ottawa, Ontario. There you go. It's as simple as that. So there we go. That was relatively simple. I just tuck this out of the way. And, two contacts in the same park. It's always good. They also get me. So that's the way it works. It's always, like I said, very informal, very friendly, and definitely a lot of fun. It's something that I really hope you folks will try. And you can see how easy it is. You go to the Pota site, look up the frequency, dial it in. If they're there and you can hear them, they can probably hear you in most cases, and away you go, and you can start collecting parks. So it's that simple. No special equipment, just what you already have. And as you can see, it's very informal, it's very relaxed. And in this one particular one we just listened to, you can hear where he didn't pick up my whole call sign. He was running a little bit of a pile up there, but still got the contact. So there you go. And I hope this interests you. I hope that you liked it. And if you did, I'd appreciate if you'd like and share down below, and maybe subscribe. And we'll try and do some more. The next one in the series will be activating, and we'll give you some ideas as to what you need, how to do it, maybe put in a few clips from some of my older videos to give you an idea as to what it's all about. So until then, this is Victor Echo 3 Sierra Victor Quebec, wishing you a great day. 73.